Disclaimer: the following is a speculative analysis and presents a theory for entertainment and discussion purposes. The views and interpretations expressed in this script are not assertions of fact. The royal family's ultimate smokescreen: how Meghan's scandal saved Andrew. What if I told you that the endless headlines, the public feuds, and the shocking interviews with Meghan Markle weren't just a rogue royal's cry for attention? What if they were the perfect distraction? In this video, we are laying out the damning timeline that suggests the royal family may have used one scandal to bury a much darker one: the truth about Prince Andrew. It's a tale of two royal sagas that have dominated global headlines. On one side, Prince Andrew, once called the Queen's favorite son, tangled in accusations connecting him to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. On the other, Meghan Markle, the Hollywood actress turned duchess, whose every move lit a media firestorm. The official story is that these were two separate, unrelated crises. But what if they weren't? What if the timing of Meghan's biggest bombshells wasn't just a coincidence, but a calculated, brilliantly executed strategy of deflection? We're diving into some juicy palace drama to tackle the question they really don't want us to ask. Was Meghan Markle's turbulent royal career the ultimate smokescreen to save Prince Andrew and the monarchy itself? To understand the theory of a smokescreen, you first have to see the fire it was allegedly designed to hide. Prince Andrew's troubles didn't start in 2019, they'd been simmering for years. His friendship with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell was known in certain circles since 1999. He was even photographed with Epstein in Central Park in 2010, after Epstein had already been convicted of sex offenses. But for a long time, the palace kept a lid on it. Then came the summer of 2019. In July, Epstein was arrested on federal sex trafficking charges. Suddenly, all of his powerful friends were under a microscope, and Prince Andrew was at the top of the list. In August 2019, Epstein was found dead in his jail cell, which only intensified the media's focus on those still alive to answer questions. Allegations from Virginia Giuffre, who claimed she was forced into encounters with the prince as a minor, were now front-page news. The palace was in full-blown crisis mode. The whispers about Andrew were now the lead story on every news channel. The pressure was immense, and the monarchy was facing its biggest PR disaster in a generation. They needed to change the conversation. But how? This is where it gets interesting. Just as the Andrew scandal was reaching a boiling point, the narrative suddenly began to shift. In October 2019, a documentary about Meghan and Harry's tour of southern Africa aired. In a now famous interview, a vulnerable Meghan Markle admitted she was not okay and spoke about the immense pressures of royal life. The headlines were immediate and explosive. The world's focus pivoted from Andrew's dark associations to Meghan's emotional struggle. Whether you felt sympathy or criticism for the Duchess, the point is, you were looking at her, and away from the Duke of York. Was this a genuine cry for help, or the first, perfectly timed deployment of a royal distraction?
The car crash and the exit. The royal family's brief relief didn't last. On November 16, 2019, Prince Andrew sat down for what has been called the single most disastrous TV interview in modern history. During the BBC Newsnight special, Andrew, trying to clear his name, offered a series of bizarre and unbelievable excuses. He denied Virginia Giuffre's claims by saying he was at a Pizza Express in Woking with his daughter. He also claimed a medical condition from his time in the Falklands War meant he couldn't sweat, directly contradicting Giuffre's vivid description of him. The interview was a complete car crash. It was a self-inflicted wound that made everything 1,000 times worse. Andrew was publicly ridiculed, and his reputation was left in tatters. Just 4 days later, Buckingham Palace announced Andrew would be stepping back from all public duties for the foreseeable future. The scandal had become unmanageable. The monarchy was on the ropes. Or was it? Less than 2 months later, on January 8, 2020, a bombshell of a totally different kind dropped. Harry and Meghan released a statement announcing their plan to step back as senior members of the royal family. The term Megxit was born, and it instantly became the biggest story on the planet. It consumed every news cycle for weeks, then months. Suddenly, nobody was talking about Prince Andrew's ties to a sex offender. They were talking about financial independence, security, and the Sandringham summit. Every detail of the Sussexes' departure was dissected and debated. And just like that, Prince Andrew's name seemed to vanish from the front pages. The timing is, to say the least, incredibly convenient. Just as the Andrew crisis reached its absolute peak, a new, more dramatic, An arguably more emotionally engaging royal drama took center stage. Were we just watching a family fall apart? Or was it a masterclass in public relations warfare? Before we get to the final pieces of this timeline, I want to hear from you. Do you think this was all a coincidence? Drop your theories in the comments below. And if you think there's a story here the media isn't telling, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're here to uncover the psychology of scandals and the philosophy deployed, the Oprah detonation and the cover-up. Throughout 2020 and into 2021, the legal storm around Prince Andrew was still gathering in the background, but the public's attention was fixed squarely on the Sussexes. Then came March 7, 2021. Harry and Meghan sat down with Oprah Winfrey for a televised special that sent shockwaves around the world. The allegations were breathtaking. Accusations of racism within the family, including conversations about their son Archie's skin color, and Meghan's heartbreaking admission of having suicidal thoughts with no support from the institution. Once again, any lingering discussion about Prince Andrew's legal fight was completely and utterly eclipsed. The Oprah interview wasn't just a news story, it was a global cultural event. Now, let's look at the timeline. Is it another stunning coincidence that this media bomb detonated just as the legal proceedings against Andrew were heating up, threatening more embarrassing secrets? The alleged pattern just keeps going. In January 2022, a U.S. judge ruled that the civil case for sexual abuse brought by Virginia Giuffre could go to trial. This was a catastrophic blow. The very next day, Buckingham Palace announced that the Queen had stripped Andrew of all his military affiliations and royal patronages. He would no longer use his HRH title and would have to defend the case as a private citizen. This should have been an earth-shattering story. A senior prince, cast out by his own mother, facing a sexual abuse trial. But 1 month later, in February 2022, another headline appeared. Andrew had reached an out-of-court settlement with Virginia Giuffre, paying a massive sum to make sure that trial never happened. While this was a huge development, the media landscape was still saturated with fallout from the Oprah interview and the ongoing saga of Harry and Meghan's new life in California. Their Netflix docuseries and Harry's tell-all memoir, Spare, ensured that the Sussexes remained the main characters in the royal drama. Then, in October 2025, it happened. Amid renewed interest in his Epstein connections, Buckingham Palace announced that Prince Andrew had agreed to stop using his Duke of York title and other honors. He released a statement admitting that the continued accusations were a distraction from the work of His Majesty and the royal family. A distraction. Perhaps one of the most telling words in this entire saga. Let's lay out the timeline one last time. Just as the Epstein scandal swallows Andrew in late 2019, we get the "I'm not okay" interview from Meghan. Just as Andrew's disastrous BBC interview brings the monarchy to its knees, we get the Megxit announcement, which changes the global conversation overnight. And just as Andrew faces devastating legal consequences and settles a sexual abuse lawsuit, the world is consumed by the Oprah interview, a Netflix series, and a tell-all book. At every single critical moment, when the crisis around Prince Andrew reached a fever pitch, a new explosive scandal involving Meghan Markle seemed to erupt out of nowhere, dominating the headlines and steering public attention away. A coincidence? Or a calculated smokescreen? We may never see a leaked memo or hear a palace insider confirm the strategy, but the timeline presents a pattern of coincidences so damning it's hard to ignore. It paints a picture of a ruthless institution. The firm, that may have been willing to sacrifice one of its own to protect a dark secret and ensure its own survival. So I'll let you connect the dots. Was Meghan Markle the royal family's greatest asset in its time of need? A willing or unwilling player in the ultimate royal smokescreen? You've seen the evidence. Now you decide.